I remember the day I asked Amanda to marry me. Her eyes lit up with joy as she said yes, promising to love me forever. Now 3 years later, I stare at my phone in disbelief. My sister Sophie just called. Mom had a stroke and was rushed to the hospital in Boston. I need to be there. But when I tell Amanda, her face hardens. She lists countless reasons why I should stay home. My heart tears between loyalty to my wife and worry for my mother. Before I continue this painful story, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe if you have ever felt caught between the people you love. I met Amanda 5 years ago at a tech conference in San Francisco. The venue was packed with industry professionals, but somehow we kept bumping into each other between sessions. I was presenting a new software engineering framework my company had developed, while Amanda was there representing her marketing firm. After my third time noticing her in the audience, I finally worked up the courage to introduce myself. "I am Will Harrison," I said, extending my hand. "I could not help but notice you have been to all my sessions." She smiled, her brown eyes crinkling at the corners. "Amanda Collins, your presentation style caught my attention. Not many engineers can make code architecture sound interesting to a marketing specialist." We grabbed coffee after the conference ended that day. One coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into a weekend, exploring San Francisco together. And before I knew it, we were seeing each other every chance we got despite living in different cities. I was based in Seattle, while Amanda lived in San Francisco. For 6 months, we mastered the art of long-distance dating. I would fly down one weekend, she would come up the next. We sent care packages, had virtual movie nights, and spent hours on video calls. When my company opened a branch in San Francisco and offered me a position, it felt like the universe was giving us its blessing. Our courtship was something out of a romantic movie. I planned elaborate dates, sunset sailing on the bay, picnics at wineries in Napa Valley, and weekend getaways to charming coastal towns. Amanda appreciated every gesture, reciprocating with thoughtful surprises, like tickets to see my favorite bands or home-cooked meals featuring recipes passed down from my mother. At least that is what she told me they were. After 2 years of dating, I proposed on the same bench where we had our first coffee. Amanda cried happy tears, jumping into my arms with an enthusiastic yes. We married 6 months later in a beautiful ceremony on the beach. It was perfect except for one thing that bothered me slightly at the time, but that I brushed aside as wedding day nerves. When my mother, Maria, attempted to welcome Amanda to the family with a traditional family necklace that had belonged to my grandmother, Amanda politely but firmly declined, claiming she was allergic to the metal. The first 2 years of marriage were blissful. We bought a beautiful house in the suburbs, with a yard perfect for the children we planned to have someday. Our careers flourished. I was promoted to lead software architect, and Amanda became the marketing director at her firm. We traveled, built a social circle of like-minded couples, and talked about our future with excitement. The first sign that something was wrong came during the holidays last year. We had always alternated between visiting my family in Boston and her family in Los Angeles. But when it was time to visit my family, Amanda suddenly developed a severe migraine the day before our flight. We had to cancel. I went alone, disappointed but understanding. Mom asked about Amanda with genuine concern, and I made excuses for her absence. Next time I promised, not knowing how empty those words would prove to be. After that, Amanda always seemed to have a reason to avoid visiting my family. Work emergencies, scheduling conflicts, or sudden illness would conveniently arise whenever a trip to Boston was planned. Meanwhile, we never missed a single event with her family. I tried to bridge the gap, inviting my mother to visit us instead. Amanda reluctantly agreed, but then created such a tense atmosphere during the visit that my mother cut her stay short. When I confronted Amanda about it, she claimed my mother was judgmental and made her feel inadequate. "She keeps asking when we will have children," Amanda complained. "She criticizes everything from how I decorate our home to how I make your coffee." I did not recognize this version of my mother, who had always been supportive and kind. But I loved Amanda and wanted harmony, so I tried to mediate, hoping time would heal whatever misunderstanding existed between them. The first time I caught Amanda in a significant lie, I dismissed the red flags. She told me she was attending a marketing conference in Portland for the weekend. I even drove her to the airport, but when my friend Taylor texted me a photo from a shopping mall in San Francisco showing Amanda with shopping bags, my stomach dropped. Taylor had spotted Amanda and was surprised she was not in Portland as I had mentioned when declining his invitation to a basketball game that weekend. When Amanda returned, I cautiously asked how the conference went. She launched into a detailed account of panels and networking events that never happened. I showed her the photo. She froze, then quickly recovered with an explanation about the conference ending early. She apologized for not telling me, claiming she did not want to disappoint me because she knew I had been looking forward to having the house to myself for writing code. I wanted to believe her, so I did, pushing aside the nagging doubt that had taken root in my mind. Our marriage continued, but something had shifted. I began paying more attention, noticing small inconsistencies in her stories. Yet I still did not want to believe the woman I loved could betray my trust so casually. Everything changed on a Tuesday morning in March. I was in a meeting when my phone vibrated repeatedly with calls from my sister Sophie. Concerned, I stepped out to answer. "Will you need to come home right now?" Sophie said, her voice shaking. "Mom had a stroke. She is in the ICU. The doctors say the next 48 hours are critical." My world stopped. Mom was only 68, active, and healthy. She volunteered at the local library, took water aerobics classes, and was learning Italian in preparation for a dream trip to Florence. The thought of her lying helpless in a hospital bed shattered me. "I will be on the next flight," I promised Sophie, already mentally packing my bag and rescheduling meetings. When I got home to tell Amanda the news, her reaction was not what I expected. Instead of immediate concern or offers to come with me, her first response was a frown. "This week? You cannot just leave this week, Will. You have that product launch on Friday, and we have dinner with my boss on Thursday." I stared at her, unable to process her response. "My mother had a stroke, Amanda. She is in intensive care. I need to be there." Amanda crossed her arms. "I understand it is serious, but rushing across the country might not be the best idea right now. The hospital is taking care of her, right, and Sophie is already there. Maybe wait a few days until we know more about her condition." Her words felt like ice water in my veins. I tried again, thinking perhaps she had not grasped the severity of the situation. "The doctors said the next 2 days are critical. I need to be there in case." I could not finish the sentence. "In case what, Will? Your mother has always been dramatic about her health. Remember last year when she thought she had pneumonia and it turned out to be a common cold?" I was stunned by her dismissal. "This is a stroke confirmed by doctors, not self-diagnosis. She is in the ICU." Amanda sighed, switching tactics. "Flights to Boston last minute will cost a fortune. We are trying to save for our vacation to Hawaii this summer, remember? And who knows how long you would need to stay there." "This is my mother we are talking about," I said, my voice rising. "Cost is not the issue here. Is it really just about your mother? Or is this another excuse to go back to Boston? You have been talking about missing the East Coast lately. I know you will. You get there, reconnect with old friends, and next thing I know, you are considering moving back." I had mentioned missing certain aspects of Boston occasionally, but never seriously discussed moving. Her accusation caught me off guard. "That is completely unfair," I replied. "My mother is in the hospital. This has nothing to do with missing Boston." For nearly 2 hours, Amanda continued finding reasons why I should not go. My job would be at risk. Her anxiety would flare up with me. Gone travel was unsafe due to recent virus outbreaks, and most hurtfully that my presence would not change. Anything for my mother. "If the worst happens, you would not get there in time anyway," she said callously. I felt physically ill at her words, but she pressed on now, turning emotional, crying about how I always chose my family over her, how she needed me here, how leaving now proved I did not truly love her. Exhausted and emotional myself, I made a devastating compromise. I would wait 2 days, stay for the product launch, and if Mom's condition stabilized, I would go then. I called Sophie with my decision, hearing the disappointment in her voice as she said she understood. That night, I could not sleep. I called the hospital directly and spoke with Mom's doctor, who confirmed she was stable but still in serious condition. I arranged a video call with her, though she was barely conscious. Seeing her pale face with tubes and monitors surrounding her broke something inside me. I promised I would be there soon. though I was not sure she could hear me. Every day I called the hospital multiple times for updates. I researched stroke recovery, joined online support groups, and sent flowers and care packages to her room. But none of it eased the crushing guilt I felt for not being physically present. Meanwhile, Amanda acted as if everything was normal, talking about weekend plans and summer vacations while my mother fought for her life hundreds of miles away. When Friday came and went, Amanda found new reasons why I should wait another few days. My resentment grew with each excuse, but I still believed that saving my marriage was worth the painful compromise. I told myself Mom was getting better, according to the doctors, and Sophie was providing excellent care. I ignored the voice inside me screaming that I was making a terrible mistake. 2 weeks passed, with this painful stalemate. Mom had been moved out of the ICU into a regular room, making it easier for Amanda to argue that the crisis had passed. Though I still planned to visit Amanda, successfully delayed my trip repeatedly. Then one morning she announced she had to leave for an urgent business trip. The Chicago client is threatening to pull their account. I need to smooth things over in person, she explained while packing her suitcase. I will be gone 3 days, Thursday through Saturday. I nodded, offering to drive her to the airport. As I helped load her luggage into the car, I noticed a shopping bag with new beachwear, unusual for a business trip to Chicago in April. At the departure drop-off, I grabbed her carry-on from the back seat, accidentally knocking it over and spilling some contents. As I scrambled to collect her things, I noticed her boarding pass. The destination was not Chicago, it was Miami. My blood ran cold, but I said nothing, helping her repack and kissing her goodbye with a forced smile. The moment she disappeared into the terminal, I pulled out my phone and logged into our shared travel account. There I found the truth. Amanda had booked a luxury romantic package at an exclusive Miami Beach resort for 2 people. Driving home in a daze, I called her office under the pretense of sending documents she had forgotten. Her assistant casually informed me that Amanda had taken personal vacation days, not a business trip. There was no Chicago client crisis. With shaking hands, I opened my laptop and accessed our phone location sharing app, which we had set up years ago for safety. Amanda's phone placed her exactly where her boarding pass indicated, en route to Miami, not Chicago. Fighting nausea, I called Marcus, my best friend since college, who happened to be a private investigator. I explained the situation, and within hours, Marcus had connected me with a trusted colleague in Miami. For the next 3 days, I received regular updates and photos. Amanda was indeed at the luxury resort, but not alone. She was with a tall, tanned man the investigator identified as Jason Mercer, her ex-boyfriend from before we met. The same ex, she had claimed, was ancient history with no remaining connection. The photos showed them holding hands on the beach, sharing intimate dinners and entering their ocean view suite together. The investigator even managed to capture screenshots of their public social media profiles where neither mentioned being there together, but both posted photos from the same locations at the same times, careful never to include each other. The frame. The final blow came when I accessed our joint credit card account. Amanda had paid for the entire luxury vacation with our shared funds, over $5,000 for a 3-day romantic getaway, while she had argued we could not afford a last-minute flight for me to see my hospitalized mother. When Amanda called that evening, I struggled to keep my voice normal. She detailed a fictional account of her day in Chicago, describing meetings that never happened and client dinners with people who did not exist. She asked about my day, and I lied too, saying it was uneventful. In reality, I had spent the day falling apart and putting myself back together with a new resolve. "I love you," she said before hanging up. "I love you too," I replied automatically, the words tasting like ash. After the call, I contacted a lawyer explaining my situation and asking about my options. Then I made another call, this one long overdue. Sophie booked me on the next flight to Boston. I am coming to see Mom. Within 24 hours, I was sitting beside my mother's hospital bed in Boston, holding her frail hand. The stroke had affected her right side, and her speech was slurred, but her eyes lit up when she saw me. She squeezed my hand weakly, and I broke down, apologizing over and over for not coming sooner. "My boy," she whispered, her voice rough from the breathing tube she had recently had removed. "You are here now." For 5 days, I stayed by her side. Sophie brought me clothes and necessities, and we took turns ensuring Mom was never alone. Between conversations with doctors about rehabilitation options and helping Mom with her exercises, I made plans for my future. A future that would not include Amanda. The lawyer I had contacted recommended gathering evidence of the affair and financial misuse before confronting Amanda. With his guidance, I documented everything: the fake Chicago trip, the Miami resort charges, the location data from her phone, and the photographs from the private investigator. I also printed out our recent bank statements, showing how she had insisted we could not afford my flight to Boston while spending lavishly on herself. Next, I secured my finances. I withdrew half the money from our joint accounts and opened new accounts in my name only. I updated my paycheck direct deposit information and removed Amanda as a beneficiary on my life insurance and retirement accounts. I was not trying to take more than my fair share, just protecting what was rightfully mine. I called my employer and explained I needed extended leave to care for my mother. They were understanding and approved 3 weeks of family medical leave. This gave me time to make bigger decisions without rushing back. Marcus flew out to join me for a weekend, bringing more of my personal items and documents I had asked him to retrieve from my home office safe. He also helped me find a reliable moving company, and together we arranged for them to pack my essential belongings and place them in storage until I decided where I would live permanently. "What are you going to do when she gets back?" Marcus asked, as we shared a quiet drink in my hotel room after visiting Mom. "Serve her the divorce papers and walk away," I replied, surprising myself with how calm I felt. The initial shock and heartbreak had given way to a cold clarity, just like that. After 3 years of marriage, I showed him the extensive text messages the investigator had recovered, revealing that Amanda and Jason had been in contact for nearly 8 months. This was not a one-time mistake or a brief lapse in judgment. It was a calculated, ongoing deception. "She chose him over me 8 months ago," I said. "She just did not have the decency to tell me." The day before Amanda was due to return from her Chicago trip, I flew back to San Francisco. I collected the printed divorce papers from my lawyer's office and returned to the house I had once thought would be filled with our children someday. I did not pack all my things or leave a dramatic note. I simply sat at our dining table with the manila envelope containing our dissolution of marriage papers, evidence of her infidelity, and a letter explaining my terms. I wanted a clean break with an equitable division of assets. I was not seeking revenge or trying to financially destroy her. I just wanted out. At 6:15 p.m., I heard her key in the lock. Amanda called out cheerfully, "Honey, I'm home." The Chicago trip was exhausting but successful. She walked into the dining room and froze when she saw my face. I wondered what she saw there. Hurt, anger, or just the absence of love that had once been so abundant. "Will, what is wrong? You look terrible." "How was Miami?" I asked quietly. Her face paled, but she recovered quickly. "What are you talking about? I was in Chicago." Without speaking, I slid a photograph across the table. It showed her and Jason kissing on a beach lounge chair, the Miami resort clearly visible in the background. "I do not want to hear more lies," I said when she opened her mouth to speak. "I know everything. The 8 months of texting, the secret calls, using our money to fund your romantic getaway, while telling me we could not afford for me to visit my mother in the hospital." She switched tactics, tears springing to her eyes. "It is not what it looks like. Jason and I ran into each other by coincidence. We were just catching up." I slid another photo across the table, this one showing the resort reservation confirmation for Amanda and Jason Mercer with the romantic package clearly indicated. Her tears dried, instantly replaced by anger. "You had me investigated. You invaded my privacy. How dare you? How dare I? You denied me the chance to be with my mother when she could have died. You lied to my face every day for months. You stole our money to fund your affair. And you are angry that I found out." She tried a new approach, dropping to her knees beside my chair. "I made a terrible mistake, Will. I was confused and stupid, but I love you. You are my husband. We can work through this with counseling." I placed the divorce papers in front of her. "I want you out of this house by tomorrow. It is in my name only, as you might remember. I have already changed the locks." A hotel room is booked for you for 2 weeks paid in advance. That should give you time to find a new place. You cannot do this. What about our life together? Our plans? I stood up, suddenly exhausted by her performance. Those dreams died when you chose him over my dying mother. She did not die, though, did she? Amanda snapped, her mask of remorse slipping. In that moment, any lingering doubt I had about my decision vanished. No, she did not. And neither will I. Goodbye, Amanda. I walked out the front door of my own house, leaving her with the papers. I had already arranged to stay with Marcus until things were settled. As I drove away, I felt a weight lifting from my shoulders for the first time in months. I had chosen myself, and I had chosen my family. Finally, I was free. 6 months have passed since that night. The divorce was finalized last month relatively smoothly, once Amanda realized I had documented everything and fighting would only cost her more in legal fees. I did not take her to the cleaners despite what my friends urged. We divided our assets, fairly sold the house, and parted ways. I moved back to Boston permanently. Mom needed more care during her recovery. And truthfully, I needed my family too. I found a comfortable apartment in the same neighborhood where I grew up, close enough to visit Mom daily, but with enough space to rebuild my independent life. The tech industry in Boston welcomed me back with open arms. After a few interviews, I declined several attractive offers and instead launched my own small software development company, focusing on healthcare applications. The inspiration came from seeing the technology gaps in Mom's care. We are small, but growing, with 3 employees and promising contracts with 2 local hospitals. Recovery from betrayal is not linear. There are still days when anger resurfaces, when I question if there were signs I missed or if I could have done something differently. To help process these emotions, I joined a support group for people who have experienced similar betrayals. The shared stories and guidance have been invaluable. Through the group, I made new friends who understand my journey. We hike the trails around Boston, attend baseball games together, and have weekly dinners where talking about our past relationships is strictly forbidden. Instead, we focus on building our futures. I have taken up rowing on the Charles River, something I enjoyed in my college days but abandoned during my marriage, when Amanda complained about the early morning practices. The physical exertion helps clear my mind, and watching the sunrise over the water reminds me daily that new beginnings are possible. My relationship with Mom and Sophie has deepened through this experience. Mom continues her recovery with determination that inspires me. Her speech has improved dramatically, and she recently walked unassisted for the first time since her stroke. We celebrate every milestone together. Sophie confessed that she never felt comfortable around Amanda, but kept her concerns to herself to support my happiness. Now she and I speak more openly about everything. Last month, she introduced me to her friend Eliza, a nurse from the rehabilitation center where Mom received treatment. Eliza and I started as casual friends, meeting for coffee to discuss Mom's home exercise program, but our conversations naturally expanded to books, hiking trails, and our shared love of cooking. Unlike my whirlwind romance with Amanda, this connection is building slowly based on genuine friendship and mutual respect. I am not rushing into anything, and Eliza understands. She has her own past to heal from. The most important relationship I have rebuilt, though, is with myself. Through therapy and reflection, I have learned to recognize the warning signs I ignored with Amanda. I have established healthier boundaries and developed a stronger sense of what I truly value in life and in relationships. I no longer blame myself for Amanda's choices. Her betrayal was not a reflection of my worth, but of her character. This understanding has freed me from the cycle of self-doubt that initially plagued me after our separation. The lesson I carry forward is this: true love does not demand you abandon those who loved you first. Anyone who forces you to choose between them and your family does not have your best interests at heart. Real partnership means supporting each other through family crises, not creating additional pain during them. Today, as I sit writing this from my new apartment, with a view of the Boston skyline, I feel grateful for the painful awakening that ultimately led me home. I am building a life aligned with my values, surrounded by authentic relationships and meaningful work. Have you ever had to choose between a romantic partner and your family? What did you choose, and how did it turn out? Share your stories in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more real-life stories about navigating difficult relationships. Remember, sometimes the most painful endings lead to the most authentic beginnings. Thank you for listening, and may you find the courage to choose what is truly right for you, even when it hurts.